Let's run it. Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Adamology here at Believe Radio. This is Elevated Voices. Elevated Voices. You know what? We want to inspire you, push your mind, and give you something to think about and motivate you. And also, watch this, deal with some internal issues. It's time to grow, everybody. It's time to grow. And with that being said, I have a guest with me on today. She is so pretty. She is so pretty. Part of my family. She is an author. She is a mother. She's one of those good people that you really want in your inner circle. You ever prayed for, like, God, I really want a good friend? She's one of them. She's one of them. And so without any further ado, because I really want to tap into this novel that she has. Without any further ado, everybody, I want to introduce some, present to others, Tamara Morgan.
Hello.
So with this new book, which is called Done in the Dark. Done in the Dark. This is one of your new book that is out.
Yeah.
And so there may be some individuals that may not know you yet.
Not yet.
That's going to change on today. And so you being an author, tell us, how did you start your journey in becoming an author?
Okay. Well, I'm a newly published author coming into this retirement journey. I have spent the last, we'll just say 20 plus, closer to 30 years as a practicing lawyer. And a few years ago, I retired from that career and started the career that I have wanted to do all these years by going into writing.
So this is your retirement.
It is.
That's a nice retirement.
It's a dream that I always wanted to do. Yes.
So what made you decide to write this type of book?
So this type of book that we'll talk more about, but this is a book about people and families going through what it takes to survive and build on not just generational trauma, but generational stories. And I wanted to highlight what it means to be a family and how families survive and thrive in this day and age. And that's what's always really spoken to me. So I wanted to come out the box talking about some deep things that affect us all.
With that being said, I'm really, really curious, especially when dealing with family, because in this era, especially with Ancestry.com, I think I'm saying that right. And you have all of these other websites that articulate or expose lineage and who really is the father, and all those items. From your perspective in this book, dealing with family secrets, is there a good way to handle family secrets, especially if it's, in the sexual abuse category?
I see what you did right there. You're trying to see if you can find a way for me to get into the secret. I'm going to say right.
I didn't say nothing.
I'm going to say right now, this book is not talking about sexual abuse.
I didn't say that.
I'm not saying it's not talking about ancestry, because we might get into that. But I do think that there's a lot of secrets in our families. And when I say our, I'm talking about mainly the Black American family, even though other families, it's a universal thing. There's a lot of secrets in our families that have to do with, they may say mama's baby, daddy's maybe, or, uncle so and so that turns out to be your daddy, or the auntie you thought was the auntie was really the sister that might be the grandma. I mean, there's lots of things that have happened in our families that we uncover later on, and then we have to try to figure out, well, why do people do that? And so one of the things that I think we can do in fiction is lay those stories out in a way that people can start to think about them and talk about them without thinking they're going to therapy. So they can start talking about those types of topics and be like, this sounds like something that could have happened in my family or your family. And now we're talking about it and thinking, well, what if this happened? And mama, what would you do if? And maybe we start uncovering and explaining some things without it getting too close, without it hurting too much, and maybe learning a little bit about how people close to us think without saying, okay, we're going to have to pay some hourly rates for this.
When you do a book like this, dealing with the realm of secrets, did you have to do a study? Because you're an attorney or retired attorney. I still think you're an attorney.
Once an attorney, kind of always an attorney.
Is there a level of research that you have to do? And where do you research to deal with this type of theme? Like, where do you go?
Good question. I think depending on the particular book and how deep you're getting into a topic, you absolutely should do some research just so that you're not doing harm, right? So if I were to start talking about abuse on a deep level and start throwing terms out in a book about trauma and what someone should do and so forth, then I'd want to do some research so that I'm not doing more harm than good. But if I'm just talking about the kind of things the kind of conversations that people have on a day-to-day basis, I don't think you need to do research for that, because I think our lives are our research. I think we're living this. But then there's some other things that happen in this book in particular, where I'm taking us back to the late 80s and 90s. And I'm taking us back to when crack first got introduced to the Bay Area. And look at you taking pictures, because I said how much I don't like it. So I'm taking us back to the late 80s and 90s when crack got introduced to the Bay Area. And I remember a lot of that, but I don't want to rely on just my memory. So between Google and my local library and reaching out to some librarians and just using skills that I've used over the years as an attorney to have to research, I want to make sure I'm not just going off memory. I'm actually getting down to the details of what happened and when. So I'll give you an example. In the book, there's two characters that are talking about, the parents in the book are talking about, we're going to watch this movie, this TV show. And what they're going to watch is a show that's called 48 Hours. And they're going to watch this news show about how crack hit the Bay Area, or actually in New York, but they're talking about the crack epidemic. And it's the first show of its kind. And that actually aired on September 3rd, 1987.
That's my birthday.
What? Well, that week, all of the news, all of the main, we only had a few channels back then. So CBS, NBC, ABC, they all did a show that week. But that was the first time the show 48 Hours actually aired. The very first 48 Hours.
I just got it.
That's the kind of research that you want to be good about. You want to know. And that's something that I think people like, wait, 48 Hours that we know about now? That was the first one. That kind of research you want to be accurate about.
And you being a African American woman,
Woo.
what were there any obstacles in doing this book, from publishing, getting your thoughts organized? What type of obstacles did you have to deal with?
So I think being a Black woman, there weren't the obstacles about writing the book. I mean, the actual getting your thoughts together and all of that. I think we excel in that area. You know what you want to do, you're going to do it. You set your mind to it. This is what we do. Um, where the obstacles come in is, okay, now what are you going to do? You can get it published.
Mm.
Everyone that wants to write a book is challenged in these days in terms of getting a book deal. You want to go get your book published. You want to be in Barnes and Noble and all these places. And so, oh, you have to get an agent. Oh, you need to get a deal with a traditional publisher. There's only 5 big publishers. What it takes to get a deal, it's some type of magic potion. I don't know. But after sending out about 100 queries, and here's my book, here's what I'd like to do, and either hearing nothing or hearing a we'll get back to you, I was like, oh, you know what? Say less. I'll just go do this on my own, because it's very, very unlikely that people get published anyway, that anyone gets published. It's a needle in a haystack. Then you look at Black writers, just take a walk through your Barnes and Noble or something.
Well,
you're not going to see too many. And so for me, I'm like, you know what? I'm late to this game already. This is a retirement career. I don't have time to keep sending out and wishing and hoping. I'll just publish on my own. So that's an obstacle. And what happens is, as a self-published author, you have to do everything on your own, and you have to cross your fingers and toes that you can get your book in front of people. And that's an extra hurdle. But then, you're used to kind of doing things on your own anyway. So,
well, I have some friends, so I'm gonna help you with that. I'm gonna help you with that. I got some friends.
All right.
And so, with that being said, let's talk about this wonderful book.
Let's talk about Done in the Dark.
Done in the Dark. See, I had to say it like that. Done in the Dark.
Okay, well, it's not a scary
And so, without giving too much, because I don't want to tell the narrative, but can you sort of share a little bit about this book, which is called Done in the Dark?
Let me tell you a little bit about Done in the Dark. Not Done in the Dark. So Done in the Dark is at its core a book about a relationship between 2 sisters. You're going to meet them when they're in their 30s at the homegoing ceremony for their grandmother. And you're quickly going to find out that they have been at odds. They haven't seen each other in 17 years. And so that meeting at the funeral, it doesn't go well. And you're going to wonder why. So then we're going to flash back. We're going to flash back to when they were teenagers and what happened to cause this major rupture in their lives that kept them apart for 17 years. So that gives you some structure. And then after you find out all of these things that occurred 17 years ago, you're going to come back to the present. Well, the present in the book, which is 2005. So not today's present, but you're going to come back to the book, back to when they met at the funeral, and see how they manage this reconciliation, because they're all they have left. So they both want to be in each other's lives, but neither of them wants to touch these secrets that they are holding. that they don't want to expose to each other or to their husbands, their families. So, how can they manage to rebuild a relationship and still keep those secrets secret? Or can they?
Or can they?
Or can they? So
Mm.
that's what's building up until the finale, which, we're not going to get into spoiler alerts,
No, no
but
spoilers.
suffice it to say, secrets will be revealed.
Huh.
So,
What's done in the dark?
yes. So that's the big picture. I will say that the types of things that happened to them as teenagers that caused them to have this big rupture are some of the types of things that happen to a lot of, folks when they're teenagers, when they're not sure what decisions to make. And there are some pretty tough things that each of them have to deal with as a result of making poor decisions and not knowing what to do next and how to manage through those decisions. So I think that's enough for you. I think that's the best answer I can give you right now.
When I tell you, I'm over here just happy, just happy, and I shouldn't tell y'all this. I'm over here taking pictures.
It making
And
me all nervous. I'm like, oh.
I'm just happy because for especially African Americans stepping out, writing books, being entrepreneurs. I'm geeked off for that. That just makes me happy, and then to be a family member, I'm just super happy. And so, while you were talking, I was sending pictures to family members. By the way,
goodness.
I'm just sending pictures,
Lord.
sending pictures. And so, just happy. And so, with that being said, done in the dark, done in the dark is a novel that you really should give, especially for the summer, because we're hitting the summer months. And some of you like to read, you really enjoy to read. Add this, Done in the Dark. And so as we are sort of closing, I'm curious if you had a mentoree and you were going to share how to write a novel, what would you tell this mentoree?
Well, I think you have to give some thought about what's your goal? What's the purpose? Are you telling a story? Just tell a story. Do you what story do you want to tell? Right? Because you have to have some idea of what you're trying to tell. And then you have to give yourself permission to go off course. So by that I mean you may think you know exactly what story you're going to tell, and you're plotting it out. You may have an outline. You may know exactly what you're going to do and give yourself deadlines, and just it's like you're ready for a high school or college course. But if you force yourself to stay true to that, you may miss the beauty of the process. And by that I mean I remember hearing writers talk about things that made no sense to me. They'd say, well, the characters are going to tell you what they want to do. And I listen to what my characters say about their lives. And I thought that was crazy. That didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, you're making these people up, right? So then I started wondering about how crazy are the people that are saying it. I now understand that we are a little bit crazy because, yes, you make these characters up, but the more you get into the psyche of these people you're making up, the more they become like real people. And real people are only so predictable. So
are you saying, because now you got me thinking, as you are writing the book starts writing itself?
in a sense, I mean, you're still in control. Yes, you get to make the final decisions and all, but as I start to develop the characters, you're developing more than one character at a time, right? So as I'm writing about Karina, which a lot of people don't really like Karina, that was not my plan. As I was writing Karina, I had one thought about her, and then as people start reading about her, they come back to me and they don't like Karina so much. It's like, oh no. But as I'm writing Karina's character, she's interacting with Candace's character.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Candace's character is having interactions with these other people. They're not stagnant, just the girls that grew up together. They're having different experiences. So when they have a conversation as 35-year-olds, they're talking as 35-year-olds who have lived different lives than they had as teenagers.
Mm.
So in my mind, as I'm washing dishes or whatever I'm doing, and I'm playing out a conversation that they would be having, I realized, oh, these women who are now women are talking about something in a different way than I imagined them talking when they were teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have to rethink this a little bit. So that little outline, the thing I had on paper, wasn't taking into account how they may have matured, how they may have changed based on what happened to them. So I may need to rethink this next scene. So this is what I'm saying about being open to the process. Or as I'm writing the next book, yes, I am working on the next book. I'm hearing from a beautiful book club, the official chapter chat. I have to give them a shout out.
Shout out
To the official chapter chat who has been reading the, been giving me comments, and we had, after they spent a month reading the book, we then had a Zoom where they gave feedback. And as I hear how they react to the characters and their thoughts about how those characters impacted them, then I kind of absorb that and realize, the characters that I created are impacting people differently than I imagined.
Mm.
So that makes me have to sit back and say, oh, I have to think of this a little differently and realize that just like you as a mom, you think you've had these children and you send them out in the world, and what you think about your children, they may not show up in the world exactly the way you thought or planned. Now they come back home and you're dealing with those children. So if I were to take it back to your question, talking to a mentee, be open to the process and be open to feedback from a variety of sources, keeping always knowing that you're in control, but don't be so tight, don't hold so tight to that control that you're not open to experiencing the process, experiencing your journey, however it presents itself to you.
I know a process, especially a creative process, can take time.
Indeed.
So how long did it take, or how long was your process to produce this? Because I mean, this is no lightweight. This is a novel. This is a real novel. So like,
okay, I always hate this question because it sounds terrible. The genesis for this novel was a newspaper article that I read in 2009. Now, I did not write consistently. I wrote on it. And then when I lost my husband in 2022 and retired, I then spent the next couple years really focused on it.
So are you telling me a newspaper article gave you inspiration?
It did.
Oh, we had newspapers back then.
We
too.
did.
I take newspapers.
It can't be paper and everything. Like, leave black ink on your fingers and everything.
We had newspapers.
We did.
Physical newspapers.
My grandson said something about back in the 1900s. He hurt my feelings. But yes, in the 1900s, there was a newspaper article that caught my attention.
That is funny. Because it's the truth. In the late 1900s.
At least give me that. Yes, the late 1900s.
Yeah. That's something. And so, everybody, I really, really recommend, especially those who love novels, tap into Done in the Dark.
Done in the Dark. Even if you don't think you love novels, even if you think you just got away from reading or you don't really like reading a lot, sometimes you need a story that catches your attention. And that's one thing that I've heard from people like, I don't really like to read, or I used to read, but I don't have time. If you catch a story, if there's a story that catches your attention, you might find that you actually do make time. We make time for what we like. We make time for what we want. And so you never know.
I'll say this to add to that. Reading is a muscle. And when you don't use it, you lose it.
True.
And so even with everything that's going on in our social world, you need to be very well read. So reading this will keep that reading muscle, that comprehension muscle, that understanding muscle sharp.
Get you back on, get you started again.
And so how can, if people want to order this book directly from you, where can they go? And also, are you on social media? What is your social media tags?
So you can order it directly from me at tamarawritesbooks.com. You can also go to Amazon because, sometimes we just love to get that free shipment. You can go to Amazon. You can go to, if you're local, you can go into Marcus Bookstore.
Where's that at?
Marcus Bookstore is right here on Martin Luther King and 34th, maybe. The oldest black bookstore, in one of the oldest black bookstores in the country, but definitely the oldest black bookstore right here in the Bay Area. You can also, let's see, you said where can we get it, right? So we did the where we can get it.
Yeah, the website.
Oh, social media.
Social media.
So Facebook or Instagram, we know we already established I'm from the 1900s, so only so good at social media, but I am on Facebook and Instagram at Tamara Writes Books. Even on TikTok, or as my sister would say, the TikToker.
Are you a TikToker?
I am on the TikTok.
You're on the TikTok
as Tamara Writes Stories. So
Tamara writes stories.
But better at Facebook and Instagram. In any event, whatever social media you can find me on, I will respond. So yes, you can find me that way. And the other thing is just to, in terms of like how to do this, because one of the things is the marketing of this. That's the hardest part of all of this, is the marketing and promotion. So book clubs, and some people are members of book clubs. So if they would talk about this book in their book clubs, other people are like, no, I'm not in a book club, but you can start one. And a book club is anything from like you and one or two other people saying, we want to read this book, and you are suddenly a book club. And I would be happy to come sit with you, talk to you on Zoom or Facebook or any of those social media things or in person, and we can talk about the book.
And so again, please exercise your brain muscle. Get a good novel that is created by our very own African American author. I mean, you can't get no better than that. And so thank you for coming to Elevated Voices here at Believe Radio. As we close, is there something that you would like to say in closing to a person, a young lady, or maybe a woman who is seasoned and she wants to be an author and thinks, well, my time is up, and I'm going to focus on the grandkids, and what is something you would like to share with them?
Huh. Well, one, I wouldn't want to limit it to a woman because I mean, having a black male voice out there in the writing world is so critical. So that's one. Two, what would I like to say? Just do it. Just take a chance and put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard or however you do your creative process, because we need more of one another out there. And tell a story. I mean, my publishing company is called Rooted Through Stories because we are all connected through our stories. So that's what I hope we do is we just all start telling our stories and telling each other that we can do whatever we want to do.
I just need a moment.
Yeah.
I just need a moment. That was fantastic. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. And when you do your next book,
Yes.
you come back.
Yes.
Come back. So again, thank you all for joining us here at Elevated Voices. Goodness. Elevated Voices here, I believe, radio. This is Dr. Adamology. Thank you again for tuning in. And again, don't forget, Done in the Dark. Lord, I almost did like my dad. Tamara Morgan.
Like Tamara.
Just
Thank you.
My dad's spirit right there.
Right
there. It kicked in that
right
quick.
there.
That quick. That quick. So anyway, thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you later. Have a good one.